All right, you know the drill if you've been watching us. Mark Rogers TV running down quarterback situations across the country. We stay in the ACC. We talk Pitt Panthers. So we bring in Jim Hammett of Cardiac Hill to break down the Panthers for us. Jim, thanks so much for joining us as always. Let's dive into Chad Voytik. So the numbers are pretty reasonable here. 61%, 2,300 yards, 16 TDs, 7 picks. So a pretty good TD to interception ratio. It seems that in his sophomore season, they didn't necessarily cut him loose, but with James Conner in the backfield, not necessarily his offense to run at this point. But going into his junior season, what can we expect? What did you see last year, and how do you project that forward?
I think a little bit with last year is they kind of carried him along those first few weeks. And as you said, it was James Conner's offense. It was all about him. So, you know, he kind of was in a game manager type of role. But I think as the season progressed a little bit, he showed some more maturity, made some bigger throws, and he showed the ability to run. So it seemed as the season got, progressed, he also progressed with it. So I think there's some reasonable expectations with him heading into next year. He has a fully stocked line, good running backs, obviously Tyler Boyd to throw the ball to. So I think going into his junior season with his pedigree and a year of experience, I think expectations are pretty high for Chad Voytik.
Well, Jim, it's cliche, but it's very true. One play away from a backup quarterback. So the guy that everybody kind of dismisses and a lot of fans don't even know his name suddenly becomes the most important guy on the roster. So do you feel comfortable with who's backing up Voytik, and who are those guys?
Well, they had over the offseason, they brought on a transfer from the University of Tennessee, Nathan Peterman, and didn't play much, but he was a highly recruited guy out of high school. He's the big prototypical 6'4" quarterback. So he's obviously, it's nice to have a guy with some experience. Beyond him, you're looking at Adam Bertke, big 6'7" redshirt freshman, never saw the field last year. So, right now, I think if it were to go down, it would be Nathan Peterman. And some people to the point are saying maybe he could come in and compete for the job, but it's obviously Chad Voytik's job. But I think they're pretty comfortable bringing in a junior or senior Peterman with some experience and coming from a school like Tennessee.
All right, you pretty comfortable with the passing game coming back? If you can kind of expand on Voytik, what he brings to the table, and break it out to more of the wide receivers and what he's got as a supporting cast?
Well, obviously you have to start it always starts with Tyler Boyd, All-American wide receiver. He's heading into his junior season. The mock drafts are coming out. He might be a first-round pick. He's that good. And if Pitt hasn't been great the past 2 years, but if you ever got the chance to watch him, you'd understand the type of talent Tyler Boyd has. And beyond that, the receiver positions, a lot of it is in question. There's no doubt about it. Dontez Ford, he's a junior, transfers from Syracuse. He's a guy that's, as of right now, looking like the number 2 guy. They have some freshmen coming in, Quadri Henderson, a 5'8" slot guy from Delaware. Elijah Zeiss, redshirted last year, big athletic receiver. So they have some options. They have bodies. But again, we've mentioned it before when I've been on the show. You just don't know what they have. I think a strength in the passing game, obviously, is tight end. They have some tight ends back. J.P. Holtz, he's been starting since he's a freshman. He's a senior. And Scott Orndorff, a junior, big 6'6" target who's caught a few touchdowns in the past. So I think he's going to lean on his tight ends a little bit more, and they might take some pressure away from Tyler Boyd.
So, Jim, does Pat Narduzzi give any indication to doing anything different with the offense than what Paul Chryst had in mind?
I don't think so. They brought in Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator from Arkansas, and Arkansas had 2 1,000-yard backs last year. So you're going to see a lot of ground and pound. They're going to play to their personnel. Pitt has an offensive line modeled after Wisconsin's. It's big. They have a power running back with James Conner. But again, you have Chad Voytik, good pedigree as a quarterback. He's a former 4-star recruit, year under his belt, All-American wide receiver. So I think they're going to try to open things up a little bit more than they did.
All right, Jim, it all seems to make sense. It's not sexy, but it makes sense based on what you say, the personnel. Plus, when you do need to open it up, getting down by a touchdown or two, Voytik should show some progression this year and should be a little bit more feared in the passing game to kind of relieve the pressure in the box on James Conner. So, Jim Hammett join us from Cardiac Hill on the SB Nation platform. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate the time.
Always, Mark. Thanks again.